today's podcast, the biggest mistakes clients make in responding to interrogatories. We get these all the time. Anyone who's ever filed a lawsuit is going to get either interrogatories or a deposition or both. And it's critical that these things are responded to well, that they're not only coherent, but that they help you win your case or help you get a good settlement in your case. I'm going to go through some of the biggest errors that clients make, and this is the opportunity to follow the instructions on here. Let's go through them. Every case should have a theme. What is a theme? It is, why are we here? Why did I bring this lawsuit? And you should be able to answer that question in 2 or 3 sentences at most. If you're going on and on and on about why you brought the case, you've missed it. So very simply, here's a great example of a case theme. I was doing great work for years as a federal contractor. My supervisor encouraged me to become a full-time federal employee. I did that. 6 months into my federal employment, I revealed to her that I had a disability. From then on, she mistreated me and singled me out for undue criticism, and I was eventually terminated. Mistake number 1, not incorporating the case theme at all or in a significant way in your interrogatory responses. That is huge. While you're filling out the answers to these questions, you should have a sign up nearby on a wall, on your computer monitor, wherever you put it, that expresses your case theme. You should be looking back to the case theme. You should be making sure that when you get questions such as, tell us the events of why you believe you were discriminated against, you're referencing the case theme. If you go on and on and on about some other events that have nothing to do with why we're here, it undermines your case. It makes you look like you don't have a disability discrimination case. You were just upset with your supervisor who may have mistreated you. So what? You can't sue on that. Not incorporating the case theme is one of the biggest mistakes people make. And when you're done with your interrogatory responses, study, review them. Did I incorporate the case theme enough? Number 2. Interrogatories are going to have 2 categories. There's going to be category number 1, those that ask you to recite facts. Then category number 2, those that ask you why you believe certain events happened. One of the biggest mistakes people make in responding to interrogatories is they mix up those 2 categories. That doesn't look good. Perfect example. Here's an interrogatory question we took from a set of interrogatories that one of my clients got. Your supervisor told you that he was out to get you fired, and you attested to this in an earlier affidavit. Please describe, without paraphrasing, as best you can, the actual words of the conversation that your supervisor told you during this meeting. Okay, I get responses like this, such as, I just felt I was the only person being criticized, berated, or harassed. Nobody cares. Okay, I mean, people care. Obviously, it's an important thing. When you're answering interrogatories such as this, nobody cares how you felt. The question is not, how did you feel when this happened, or why you think this was discrimination. It's just a straight up, factual question. What happened? Just flat out, what happened? I mean, I have a client who's a doctor. I explained this to her once, that, and everybody does this. I mean, it's just the natural tendency to go ahead and explain. Everybody wants to explain. And a lot of times you're fighting nature almost. You're not asked to explain. You're just asked to give facts. And the example I used is, doctor, someone comes to your office and you take that person's blood pressure, and the guy says, "What's my reading?" And you go into a whole rigmarole about how if he had less stress in his life and ate better and exercised and went to bed at a normal time, that the blood pressure would be way down. Okay? I get it. That's great advice, except the question was, what was the reading? The answer should be 130/80. That's how law works. That's how litigation works. It's not about necessarily telling stories unless you're a trial and your lawyer is directing you on your direct examination. Okay, then there'll be times he's going to want you to go on and on about stuff. Every other time in litigation, it's just answer the question. That's it. So that's a key one. Finally, the third one that I'll talk about today, which is really critical, is it is not uncommon for the same client to have two different lawsuits. One of them, for example, could be on a hostile work environment. My supervisor made my life a living hell. He tormented me. He singled me out for criticism. He gave me an unlawful PIP. Case number two, as a result of the PIP that supposedly I didn't complete, I got fired. Okay, now you get a question in your first lawsuit. Describe all of the damages that you're claiming in this case. And what the client may inevitably do is go through all of the sleepless nights and all of the doctors he or she has seen, the psychologists, the Lexapro dosage, the whole shebang. And the person will say, and this happened because I was fired and I shouldn't have been fired. Okay, well, that's nice. I mean, that's good. Unfortunately, it's for the wrong case. I mean, your case now, you're answering interrogatories on the damages you suffered in the first case, in the hostile work environment case. That's what they're looking for. And unfortunately, you have some of these law firms, I mean, I'm not going to name anybody, but you have some of them where they're not really looking at your interrogatory responses that closely. So what happens then is you show up to a deposition, you get nailed on this, or worse, your case goes to hearing or a trial, and you know what? You're precluded from offering any evidence of damages that you suffered from the hostile work environment because you had a question, what damages did you suffer from the hostile work environment? And you talked about damages that were caused by your termination. So essentially, when you had the chance to talk about the damages you suffered in your hostile work environment case, you missed it. There are judges who will preclude you from then giving testimony at trial, which means there is no trial, which basically means that even if you prove all this stuff, that your supervisor mistreated you and so on and so forth, and you prove your hostile work environment, you lose because you don't have any damages, all because you didn't respond to the interrogatory correctly. Those are the three major mistakes that I have for today. I do encourage listeners of these podcasts to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There will be other podcasts on other mistakes that people make in interrogatory responses. If you have been the victim of some sort of wrongful termination at work or hostile work environment or something like that, call our office. Or if you're in the middle of litigation, call us. We can help you.